4 sets of corresponding angles here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me any of them, some of them?
Yeah. 1 and 5.
All right, so let's be clear here how you write it. You write that angle 1 is congruent to
Angle
angle
5.
5. Did you see that in class?
No.
Okay, you have to write it this way, where you put a little, I don't know what you want to call this. To me, it's a less than symbol, but it's for angles, the angle number, the equal sign with this little, I don't know what they even actually call it in non-programming classes, but uh this symbol, same thing here, same thing there. So congruence is different than equal. Congruence is different than equal. And you might wonder, what is the difference? We will eventually be able to explain that, but you want to use the word congruent. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. Can you give me another set of corresponding angles?
4 and 8.
So we want to say
Okay,
angle
so
4 is
angle
congruent
4
to
is
angle 8.
congruent to angle 8.
Because this is how you're going to write it in when you are going to do proofs. They start now, they end in December, whenever your last day of school is. But that is ahead of you. How about another corresponding angle?
2 and 6.
Angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. And the last one?
3 and 7.
All right. Now, sometimes students don't really understand these. You've given me the correct ones, maybe you got the exact same picture. But to me, it's like, think of this region as a classroom, and this is another classroom. It's like you always sit in like the front right, no matter what classroom you go into,
Yeah.
which may not be true. You always sit in the back left. Back left corresponds to back left, and so on. But it's like you're always in the same relative position, no matter where you're at. Okay, let's continue here. Next grouping. There are two alternate interior angle pairs here. Can you give me either of them, please?
This is alternate interior.
Yes.
4 and 3.
Okay, so we got a little issue. So here, let me label some things for you. This is considered the interior. This is the exterior. This is the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
And then this line right here is called the transversal.
Oh, 3 and
So there are sides. This is a
right.
side, and this is a side. I know it gets messy here, so we're gonna reset the picture here. But when it says alternate or alternate, it literally means that one is on one side of the transversal and one is on the other. You got that correct,
Yeah.
okay? But it
But
would
it
be
has to
angle
be
four.
4 and 6.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
And then
what are the other ones?
3 and 5.
Angle 3, angle 5. Good. All right, now let's do next ones here. Alternate exterior angles.
Okay, so 1 and 7.
Good. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 7. Still waiting to hear you say the word congruent. I'd love to hear
Oh,
that at
okay.
some point.
I'll say that. I'll say that.
At some
Um,
point.
Angle 2 is congruent to angle 8.
Very good. They're clearly in the exterior. Note they're on one side, opposite sides of the transversal. All right, good. And all right, so let's do the next one here. I'm gonna call it same side interior. Same side interior. Did you hear that in class?
Same side interior. No, but I think I could try that.
Okay. These are no longer congruent, but that's okay. It's angle 4 plus measure of angle 5. You know what they add up to.
Would that add up to angle 9? Or how does that work?
It's 180.
180. Oh, okay, right. Yes. Yeah, we've been doing that.
Okay, so
Or just the 180.
there's another pair of same side interior.
Angle 3 plus angle 6 equals 180.
Good. All right. And then then the last one here is same side exterior. And it's the same thing, measure of angle. I'll let you try to do this one.
Okay, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 8 equals 180.
Good. And the other one is angle 2 plus measure of angle 7 equals
180.
180.
Right.
The one that we didn't really do that you mentioned to start out, it doesn't have anything to do with parallel lines, but it is important to also have down, is vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. They meet at an X. You can think of this as an X-ish, maybe. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the first type of problems we're going to do, we're not even going to try to do any calculations or solving, but we want to make sure we know like what it is or isn't. So what I'm looking for here is I've got a bunch of other geometry student stuff that
Can I step away for like 30 seconds? I need
of
to go
course,
grab.
yeah,
I'll be right back.
take your time. Yep.
All right.
So you got all these on your paper or something. I hope.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to scroll up each time. So what I'm going to give you
Yeah, you're
next are um, some problems where you just have to tell me which of these that they are. All right.
Okay.
And we'll start out very basic. So what type of angles are these?
Alternate interior.
Alternate interior angles. Now, are they congruent or do they add up to something?
They're congruent.
Okay, so that second piece is almost as important, maybe just as important, because once we get to actually solving some problems, you have to know whether to set them equal or.
So I have a question.
Yep.
Well, is it true that they are congruent or do they add up to 180? I was sort of,
Uh,
I wasn't
they
100%
they
about
they
that.
are congruent. They are congruent.
Okay,
So
so for them to add up to 180, would they have to be on the same side?
in
How
this,
does that work? What does that mean?
yeah, in this kind of, you can think of that pretty generally.
Mhm.
These are alternate interior angles. Yeah, they are congruent. So when you wrote these down, we wrote them as congruent. That not that they added up to something. Now you're right. They have to be on the same side for them to add up to 180. But for example, here, let me grab this picture because you sort of alluded to this in one of your answers was um, like the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180.
Mhm.
Those are not on the same side, but they're a linear pair.
Right.
So that's like another thing to look for. Do you know what I mean by that linear pair? Or
Yeah. Well, they're
okay,
like,
and
yeah.
there's a bunch of them here, like 1 and 4 are linear. Measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 4 is linear pair. So any
2
of
and 3
them,
would be
2 and 3, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 5 and 8, 6
right.
and 7, 8 and 7, they're all linear pairs. Okay, let's try another problem here. So the parallel lines do not have to go horizontally, they can go vertically. What kind of angles are these?
Is that exterior?
They're alternate
Nice.
interior angles. Are they congruent or do they add up to something?
Congruent.
They're congruent. Yeah. Now, if this was on your test, you should rotate your paper to make it look the way you want, which is them going horizontally. Don't rotate your head. Just rotate your paper, make it look right to you. Now on the screen, that's pretty hard to do, but let's try another one here. Oh, you know what? We did leave out. No, we didn't. We didn't leave out. We did corresponding first, didn't we? Yeah, thank goodness. Boy, short-term memory loss is really bad. All right, here we go. What are these?
Corresponding angles.
They're corresponding, yeah. Are they congruent or do they add up to something?
They're congruent.
They're congruent. Okay. Again, they don't have to go up and down. They don't have to go right or left. They can just sort of shoot off here. These sometimes these drawings look really weird, but what do you know about angles 3 and 4?
These would be interior angles that are congruent.
Okay, all the right words. You want to say same side interior.
Same side interior.
Yeah. Now you might want to ask your teacher, and this usually comes up before test or quizzes, if you have to remember the exact name, the spelling count,
Mhm.
you know, things like that. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at some numerical problems now. And I'm going to give you the answer because the answer is not important. The answer is not what we're trying to emphasize. Because the answer typically is there's only like two possibilities for the number. In this case, it's 67 degrees. What's more important is, and they should ask this, is why? What is the reason that this angle is 67 degrees?
Because it's, oh, I see.
And
These
it's
are,
one of those, definitions are
these
just,
are, this is corresponding angles, right?
these are corresponding, yeah.
And it's congruent.
They are congruent. So you might,
So
I sort of alluded to this, that
angle one would also equal 67.
that's right. And that's what this is saying down here. The other possible answer for these is 113 degrees. Why would that be another possible answer for these kind of situations?
Because 113 plus 67 equals 180.
Right. And that's what I mean by like the answer is not, it's one of two numbers. It's true, false. That's not important. It's important is like why? Why are these? Why is this the answer? So again, I'll give you the answer here. It's 142 degrees. Why is that the answer here?
Because they're corresponding angles.
They're corresponding, yeah. Okay. All right. The next kind of grouping of problems here requires you to start solving. Okay. So we may need to briefly review how to solve. We'll see. So here's a new problem. And sometimes it's not really clear what they're referring to. If that's ever the case, let me know, like you're not sure, but this one up here refers to that one, and then this one in red. What kind of angles are those from that list?
Ooh, alternate interior angles that are not congruent.
Well, they are congruent. They're always congruent.
Alternate is always congruent.
Yes, yes. Which means that A plus 28 equals 2a.
Got it. It's the same.
And you have to solve for a. So please do that. Let me know what you come up with.
All right. I'm not sure if this is, does A equal 28?
Yeah. So this is generally like what I would call part one of the problem.
Mhm.
Part two is to actually determine the angle. Determine the measure of angle, say MST. Is MNP A plus 28 or 2A?
Well, MNP would be, so you're asking if it's equal to 2A?
Is it equal to A? Is it the A plus 28 or is it the 2A?
Oh, the A plus 28?
Yeah. And just a
Yeah.
reminder, the N is the vertex, so it's the middle letter.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so if you're asked to find the measure of angle MNP, that's A plus 28, which equals 28 plus 28, which equals 56 degrees. So part two, generally part one is to solve for the variable. Part two is to put that number back in to find the actual angle measure.
So
Is that
56
okay?
would, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So like that's typically the final answer. Now, let's put a new problem in front of you. And this time it says solve for the measure of angle MPQ. MPQ. So it's this one down here, the 3x plus 50. What you want to do is your part A is to solve for x. So you have to look at this picture and decide, well, how is 5x and then 3x plus 50 related? Are they equal? Do they add up to something? What do you think?
Got it. So the setup, can you just help me, would it be 5x equals and then 3x plus 50, or how
Okay,
do you,
so why? Why are they congruent?
they're congruent because these are these are corresponding angles.
They're corresponding angles, yes. So could you solve for x, please?
Yeah. X equals 25.
X is 25. So that's part A. Now, the measure of angle MPQ is 3x plus 50. So you're going to take that x value and put it in that that part there for x, 3x plus 50. And go ahead and evaluate that, please.
125.
So x, yeah, or I'm sorry, the angle is 125. All right. All right. Um, any other questions on that?
No, I'm good on that.
Okay. So here's one to try completely on your own. You can do it kind of the way I showed you, but the final answer is what I care about here. This is all I'm looking for.
So just to clarify, I'm pretty sure I have this right, but I'm just asking for my equation. 5y equals 2y plus 78.
That's correct.
130
For your final answer is 130 degrees.
degrees.
Okay, let's take a look here. Like you said, 5y equals 2y plus 78. So you end up getting 3y equals 78, y equals 26.
26.
Does that
Yep.
match up with what you have? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in truth, you don't have to necessarily do so WXZ is this 5y. Let's just say it was flipped. Like you can do the one you want because they're congruent. Like 5 times 26 is going to equal 2 times 26 plus 78. When they're congruent, you can pick the one you want. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right, one more before we move on to another type of problem here. All right, so here's one for you to try. Um, Go ahead and solve for the given angle, please.
All right, so I got my first part with x equals 12, but then for the part where you plug in, which
Yep.
how does that work when you have two x's? Do you plug it in for both x's and then you solve again?
Well, which one is DEF? Is DEF the 8x minus 34 or 5x
Okay,
plus 2?
DEF is 5x plus 2.
Okay, and that one works, but because they're congruent, you can actually put it in either one.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
You said you got 12 for
Yes.
x.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me solve that.
Yeah, go ahead and let me know the angle measure, please.
62 degrees.
Yes. Okay, so the next type of problem, because you kind of get feel you get they're congruent or you set them equal. Um, the next type of problem is where they add up to something, and it's easy on a test or quiz to forget that they're not always congruent. Like you might like, oh, I'll just set them equal, and sometimes they just work. Like you get a number and you think, oh, that's great, it works. But these are not congruent. These angles are definitely not congruent. They're same side interior. What do we know about same side interior from previous lesson or from this
That,
lesson? What did we
that
say about
same
them?
side, that it's congruent.
They're not congruent. Same side interior. Go ahead and look at your notes there, please.
That it, same side interior. Well, I don't have anything that like Hmm. Is it that it's equal to a certain number, or
So we did this right here at the top, same side interior.
that it
What
equals 180?
they add up to 180. Two angles add up to
Add
180.
up to 180. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so there's two possibilities. They're either congruent or they add up to something. In
Mhm.
this problem, these two add up to 180. So the algebra is a little bit more intense, if you even want to say that. I mean, it's not like it's completely overwhelming, but you have a little bit more complicated equation to solve. So I'd like you to try it and see if
Yeah,
uh,
no,
if
I'm good.
if you
I'll
can
let you know.
solve it. It's more than doable for someone like you. Um,
N equals 35.
okay.
And then let me check that. And to check it, I would just rewrite this and plug in N for 35, right?
Well, so the next thing is to put that value back into both equations this time. The reason it's both is because they're not congruent. They add up to 180. So
Mhm.
when they are congruent, you know that they should be the same. Here you're going to get the two angle measures.
But it
So
has
let's
to
just do that
equal.
together. They should add up to 180.
Yeah, all right. I'm working on that.
So I believe you're going to find that these do not, which means
Wait, yeah, this doesn't. I just
so that
58
that
plus 42 doesn't equal.
right. So that suggests that your n is not correct. So tell me what you did to solve for n.
I combined like terms first. I got
Okay. So what are your like terms?
we have a 3N and a 1N,
That's 4n.
and then 47 plus 7.
It's negative then.
Oh,
Negative one.
shoot. Yeah, that's just a sign error. That's silly. That's my bad. Okay, so it really should be 4N minus 40 instead of, yeah. And then you add the 40 to that side.
All right. So go ahead and just solve it here. I think you'll find
So 220 divided by 4,
okay. What does that become?
55.
55. So now
Try.
I think you'll find that it worked out a lot better.
Okay, let me try it again. Got it. 118 plus 62 equals 180. 180 degrees.
Yep. Now, what this shows you is that you should be able to always check your answers, making sure that you're right before you move on to the next question, if you have time. Again, the two types of problems you're going to see is the angles are either congruent or they add up to something.
Mhm.
And right now that something is 180. It might change depending on where you are in the course, but that's where we're at. So here's another problem like the one we just did. I want you to solve this. These are also same side interior, just like the last problem. They add up to 180. Really part A is to solve for X. Part B is to put the angles back, put the X back in
Mhm.
and make sure you know the angle measures. And then part C is your check. It's like making sure that they add to 180.
180. Right.
That's your mental check. Like the question, like for me, let's have you start by solving for X and putting them back in. And but the problem might just say to, determine like whatever they didn't give you the angle, but it might just say, oh, solve for that angle, but you have to know to do these three steps. Go ahead and give this one a try, please.
All right. Hmm. I got a little problem. Well,
Okay,
let
what's the
let me just
problem?
try to rework, or actually, yeah, I'll just talk through it with you. So I combined like terms,
Okay.
and then I got 3x minus 2 equals 180.
Okay, that is definitely that's your problem there.
So it's 9x plus 4x equals 13x.
Okay.
3 minus 5 equals minus 2.
Yes, that sounds good.
Yeah, and then
But you said something different though.
what I say?
I heard like 3x, but
Okay, okay.
13x
Well,
minus 2 equals 180.
yeah, and then plus 2 equals 13 equals 182, x equals 14.
Okay. So
And
what's
then
the problem? That
after,
sound that sounds good.
yeah, and then so maybe that part was actually right. But then for my check part, I plug in x equals 14 for the x's. So 9 times 14 plus 3. Let me just resolve that and see if that's where I'm messing up. 9 times 14 plus 3 equals 129.
Okay.
And then 4 times 14 plus 5 equals 61. But then
It's
when I
my
add that up, it equals
it's
190.
yeah, it's -5.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Let me. 129 plus 51 equals 180.
The right thing though, trying to go back to the original to
Mhm.
decide, okay, solve it correctly. You
Yeah.
don't always get whole numbers, but probably will get a nice number here most of the time. Then like you put it back in, and like you said, if you don't get something that adds up to 180, that's a problem because it's supposed to.
Yeah.
On a test, maybe you just know to come back or you try to resolve it right then. But that's a good way of doing this. So here's another problem that you will see that's just like this one, what we just did. So just another opportunity here. I'm gonna step away for a moment here, but take your time solving it. There's no rush here. There's not a ton more to cover in today's lesson, so um,
Okay. So
I'll be
for this
I'll be right. Yeah, go and just set it up like you did the last one. They do add up to they. I'm
to,
sorry. No,
to
no, no.
180.
No, this is wrong. I apologize. I gave you the wrong one. Sorry. Let me find another one here.
No, you're
These
good.
are actually congruent. So I want you to solve it as if they're congruent, and I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. This one was, it's a little bit different. It's just setting them equal to each other.
Yep.
Did you
Oh,
solve
yeah.
for X? Do you have an X
Yeah.
value?
X equals 8.
X equals 8. Now this time you put it back into both if you
Both of
want,
them?
but they should be the same this time.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm doing that right now, so I'll let you know in a second. Hmm.
Is 11 times 8 minus 5
Is 83?
equal to 7 times 8 plus 27? Are these the same?
No. Wait.
I think they are, but you're
For
saying no.
Oh my gosh, that's so. I put for the X for the 7. I plugged in
Mhm.
5 instead of 8. I don't know why, but if I plugged in
Yeah.
8, then it would have equaled 83. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, it's the same.
So they're the same. That's what you
Yeah,
expect.
I was going down. I was going.
The
My bad.
the real challenge here is like deciding, are they congruent or do they add up to 180?
Mhm.
So these two angles here, are they congruent or do they add up to 180?
Do I solve?
Well, you have to decide, are they congruent or do they add up to 180? Like, are
Mhm.
they, which of those grouping of angles are they from earlier?
This is interior, same side interior.
Yes. So are they congruent or do they add up to something?
They add up to 180.
They add up to 180. So this one, because sometimes they actually work where you get a number when you solve. If you set them equal, which is
Mhm.
wrong, but sometimes you you do it and you seem think, oh, okay, worked out, everything's okay. It's really not.
Got it.
What did you get for Y? Intermediate
My
step.
Y equals 8.
Yeah, yes.
And then you plug that in. 7 times 8 plus 56 equals 112 degrees. 3 times 8 plus 44 equals 68 degrees. 112 plus 68 equals 180 degrees.
That's right. That's right. Now, if you like, and I'm just gonna show you this because I mean, this is the, if you just set them equal because you're not paying attention, you end up getting 4y equals -12, y equals -3.
Mhm.
And like, you might be like, "Oh, I
Well,
don't know, I guess that kind of works." And then you could say 7 times -3 plus 56. You know, that ends up being 35 degrees. 3 times -3 plus 44 ends up being 35 degrees. Okay, you know, it worked.
yeah,
This is completely wrong.
but it's not. Yeah.
You can't, yeah. So it's really important from the beginning to make sure you know whether the angles are congruent or whether they add up to 180.
Mhm.
And if they're congruent, that's fine. That's fine. You just set them equal, but make sure you know why they're congruent or why they add up to 180.
Got it.
All right. So there we go. There's a new problem. Let's make this our last problem here. Are they congruent or do they add up to 180?
These are congruent.
Why are they congruent?
It's same side, and these are corresponding. These are
Yes, they're
corresponding.
corresponding. Yes.
Yes.
So you can set them equal. You can solve for X. Whatever you get for X, when you put it back in, should give you the same angle measure for both.
Got it.
If you get X equals 43.
Yeah, and now I'm just doing the check part.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep. 3 times 43 minus 22 equals 107. 43 plus 43 plus 64 equals 107.
Perfect.
Add
All
them
right.
up.
Good job.